Hi, Andi here. I am talking today about schooling with toddlers. I have lost my voice, so hopefully you guys will be able to hear me, and we can learn a little bit about how to do this schooling thing with little ones underfoot. I am a second-generation homeschooler. I have 5 children, ages 10, 8, 6, 4, and 3. So this is my 4th time schooling with a toddler in the house. So thank you guys for joining me today. I was thinking about this question, because I get asked this question a lot. How do you do school with a little one? How do you do it? What do you do with them? How can you get anything done when they're running around? And for me, it's kind of second nature. I was a preschool teacher before I had children. I was a pre-kindergarten teacher for most of that time, and I had 8 years that I was teaching before I stayed home. So in some ways, this is second nature for me. But Deanna, you can find her on Periscope all day, every day, Mom. She's always saying just to share what you are doing, because I'm doing it different, and I'm doing things different than you're doing. So you might get something new today. So hopefully that's what you can walk away with today. Yeah, I'm glad you were able to join me. So if you guys have any questions, throw them up in the comments, and hopefully we can give everyone a little bit of encouragement and feel like you all can do this, because you can, you really can. So the first thing that I would say for schooling with toddlers is to know your toddler. And by that I mean what engages him and what is his attention span. Find those things that keep him busy, not just to keep him busy and out of your hair, but keep him busy or her. I have a 3-year-old daughter right now, so she's my toddler right now, but the last 2 were boys. So I have them in my head a little bit more than my girls, because boys are often a little bit more unruly. Yes, be a student of your children, exactly. So if you know what interests your child and you know their attention span, you can work school around that. So find the things that they are going to be excited to do, and only have them there for that long. And you're going to have school throughout the day. You're not going to be able to sit down and crank out 4 hours of school straight with a toddler, because their attention span is way shorter than that. And you're going to have to find some things that you've got waiting. When they're done with something, you can give them the next thing. And with babies, with infants, their schedule is changing every couple of weeks. But with toddlers, you have a little bit more time before their schedules start changing. So it's going to be 6 months, and you're going to start to get in a groove, and all of a sudden they have a different nap schedule, or they get fussy at a different time and they need you. And you just got into a good rhythm, and now you've got to figure it all out again. So go with that, and just know as soon as you start getting comfortable with your toddler and their schedule, it's probably going to change in the next month or 2. But eventually they do move past toddlerhood, and you are now schooling all children. So I have my last toddler that I'm schooling with a toddler right now. So it will come to an end. The crazy toddler shenanigans will end. And then, you get into the older kid shenanigans, which is always fun. The next thing that I would suggest doing with toddlers is have school activities for them. It doesn't have to be school in the sense that you think that you need to get workbooks or you need to plan activities. Have some special activities that are just for school time. Either put them all on a special shelf, have them in a special cabinet, or a special box. Sort them out and keep those things separate so that it's just for school time. Yes, it makes them feel like they're doing school. It makes them feel special. And sometimes I will tell my older kids, that's not for you. That's her school stuff, and that's not for you to do. And sometimes we'll all partake in it, and we'll all have fun with those activities. but it makes them feel important, and it makes them feel like they are doing school, because they just want to be like their older siblings, and they want to do school right along with them. So you can give them a paper to scribble on, to color on, to cut out, whatever, but make it special so that they feel like they are important and that they are doing school right along with you. So for activities, my youngest right now is 3. She just turned 3 2 weeks ago. So my activities that I would recommend, where to get some inspiration, go onto Pinterest and do some searches for Tot School, do some searches for busy bags, those type of things. A lot of them are going to be super simple things. Some of them are going to be more intricate, and it's going to take a lot of your time. See if there's part of that that you can simplify, or just skip over it and go to the next idea. Yeah, Pinterest is great, but it can be overwhelming, and it can make you feel like you're failing, because some of that stuff is so great, but it's going to take more time than you have. We are very Charlotte Mason influenced. So yes, Pinterest can stress you out if you're not careful. So just go there for inspiration. Don't take that exact idea, unless it's something that will work for you and your children. But don't do it exactly the way that it's on there. One thing that I've done several times is I've just sent out a mass email to any friend that is homeschooling or just has a toddler. And I tell them, hey, I've got this idea to do, to do a busy bag Tot School swap. And typically I get 8 to 10 girls that want to do it. And I will make 8 or 10, however many families there are, you make the same activity for all of those that many times. And then you all get together, or I've done it where people have dropped it off and then I just meet back up with them. So it's a really easy way that you can go out, because sometimes those activities, you're buying lots of little pieces and then you've got all of this extra stuff. So if you can make 8 or 10 of them, but then you're getting to swap with other people, it's a great way. I haven't done one for a few years, and I actually have had some people recently asking, are you going to do one again? So yeah, lots of busy bags are really good. And I'll show you guys a couple, just a few of ours. But if you've got any friends, I've even done it with friends who don't live nearby, that we mail them back and forth. Everybody mails them to me, and then I send out a package with everything, all the different bags. It's so fun because you didn't have to sit down and make 8 or 10 different bags. You only had to make one 8 times. Okay, so what I was saying earlier, when you find those ideas on Pinterest, keep it easy. Keep it easy peasy for yourself, for your own sanity, because if you're having to set up a really elaborate activity for your child, but you have 2 or 3 or 4 other children that you're schooling, that's taking a lot of time, preparation time for one of your children. So find things that are easy but entertaining for them. And another thing that we just did recently, this was for our morning time, but I went through with my kids and I made a list of quiet activities so that when I'm doing a read aloud, they can have some ideas and I can look at the list and remind them, hey, why don't you guys try this activity today? So I have that list right here. And I just made it really simple on construction paper, and I'll put this list on my blog. You can find me a nest full of squishers. My link to my blog is in my profile here on Periscope, so you can find it over there. Coloring, reading, we have a whole basket of different kinds of flashcards. So flashcards are on here. Army guys, my boys have a lot of little army guys and different those tubes. I think that's what they're called, tubes. And you've got animals, or you've got safari, or they've got knights. So there's about 12 different little figures that come in a long tube. So we like those. Resting. When it's time, you can just get a blanket and a pillow and just rest if that's something that you want to do. Puzzles, cars, fingerprints. We have an Ed Emberley book that shows you how to do fingerprints and then doodle them into people or animals or different scenes. Play-Doh, sensory bin, learning activities, which are kind of busy bag type activities in Tot School. Like I said, if you go on Pinterest and you do a search for Tot School, there's a blog, 1+1+1. Carissa does some really great Tot School over the years, and she's got a beautiful blog that has so much inspiration that you can find different ideas to keep your little ones entertained and busy and learning and having fun right along with you. Felt and paper dolls. We have a lot of felt sets, and marbles. If you've got any marble building, we have the wooden marble set that you can build the marble racetrack. And soft blocks. We've got foam blocks. So my kids have a lot of wooden blocks, but we also have a whole bin of soft foam blocks. So when we're reading and we need to do something quiet, or if we're doing school and my younger ones want to be in the room, these are things that they can do and still be in the room with us. Not all of this is just for school time. Some of it is, but they know that when we're doing school and we need something quiet, they can go to this list and get some ideas. And I have Light Bright on here too. So if you've got a Light Bright, we have one of those 4-sided Light Brights, which is great because more than one child can do it at the same time. So I'm going to show you a couple of things that we do. Oh, another one, turn the faucet on at your sink and a real slow drip. I usually fill the sink up about 2 inches, and then I turn the faucet on a really slow drip, and I'll give them a couple bowls and cups and just let them play at the sink for a really long time. All of my children love doing that. Okay, so I'm going to show you our sensory bin. And when I was teaching, yeah, the sink is just so great. It keeps them really quiet and entertained for a really long time. They can play in that water for so long. And I'll just go and I'll empty the sink out once it gets too high and just let it keep going. So they've got that stream, that trickle of water the whole time, just to keep filling up cups and having fun. When I was teaching, we had the big sand table sensory bin, and I would change things out every month. And that's not practical in your house, in a home. I know some people do have the bigger ones, and I don't find it practical. So, but I love the children having the opportunity to dig through things, to pour and scoop. It's something that toddlers especially need. So this is a Snapware, let me set this down, Snapware box, and it has a handle, and then the lid snaps on. It's got these flip top snaps, and so my beetle pillow from IKEA. So every month I change this out. So I just filled it up yesterday, and my children went crazy this morning when they found it. So right now we've got St. Patrick's Day. So we have these green measuring cups that I got years ago. So there's 4 of them, so they stack inside of each other. And then I have these little cauldrons and little gold coins. The coins, I just got these at Michael's. So these are there. The cauldrons I got at Joann's last year, but I would be surprised if they didn't have them. But we have little glass marbles, the flat ones, and then we just have beans. If you've got a bulk food store, you should just get it at the grocery store. Just a bag. This, you can see that this isn't very full. This one is actually a little bit less full than I normally have them. But they don't need a whole lot in there. So you can do beans, you can do rice, you can do sand, whatever you're comfortable with in your house. But with the sensory bin, with any new activity that you're bringing to your children, you want to make sure that the first time you pull it out, that you're sitting down and doing it with them, giving them the expectations. Everything needs to stay in this bin. We don't throw the beans everywhere. And this morning, I didn't do that with our new, I thought, goodness, we've had the sensory bin for years. My children know the rule, things stay in. I have these little shamrock sequins that I got last year, and they were pulling all of those out and showering themselves, and my son had all of these shamrock sequins in his hair this morning. I was trying to pick them all out. But I'll let them use the tray as an extension of the sensory bin. So either the tray goes under the bin or it goes next to it, and then they can put things on here. We also have school lunch trays that I got at a garage sale or something years ago. So sometimes I'll let them pull those out so that they can scoop things into a bowl and they can set it outside of the bin, but I still have a boundary for them. You can play with it inside, or you can move it to this box. So anytime you're giving them a new activity, you need to make sure that you're giving them the expectations that when we're playing with soft blocks during school time, you're sitting here quietly building a castle or building a racetrack. We're not throwing blocks. We're not being loud with the blocks. Making sure that your toddlers have those expectations, and also will make it really easy when they're crossing over those boundaries to say, remember, when we're doing this, we need to have a quiet voice. Another thing that I do, I talked about this in one of my other videos. My kids have their own school bag, and they have pencils and scissors, tape, glue. Some of them have crayons in theirs. And when they need something for school time, they know it's in here. And if it's not, then they're the ones who have lost it. But my 3-year-old has one also. She doesn't have as much stuff. I don't trust her with glue yet. Glue is usually a 4-year-old privilege. So she's got tape, she's got crayons and scissors in here. And so when we're doing school time, if she wants to get a piece of paper and cut, the Dollar Tree has some really great scissors. They're beginning scissors that has a little clip that can go, you can fold it down so that it will make the scissors pop back open. And then the child learns how to cut, and then you can fold that little clip away once they understand how to cut. Those are the scissors that I started all of my children with. So they're really great. And they cut paper. They can cut other things, but it's a lot more difficult. So go to if you've got a Dollar Tree, go check and see if they have those scissors. Those are really good. So, give them their own school supplies. When you're doing school time, they can have their own things too. And again, it will make them feel like they're included and like they are important, enough for you to take time to have school time with them. A few of the busy bags that we have, this is something that's typically only for school time, just these little plastic figures. My boys have a whole collection of other things, but I have a couple that are pretty much just for school time. My daughter just loves these little farm animals. These are 2 different busy bags that I did an exchange for. So this one, there's a button at the end, sewn onto a ribbon, and then at the other end, there is here it is. There's one piece of felt that the ribbon is glued to, and so every piece of felt has a hole, and it's just teaching them how to use a button in a buttonhole. And this one keeps my toddlers. I've had this one, I think my second oldest, she's 8 now. I think she was a toddler when I got this one. I've had this one for quite a while. It might have been my 6-year-old, but I've had this one for a while. And then this one is another one that we really like. So again, if you can come up with a couple of people who can do a swap with you, this one is, so she did the color for older kids. It says red, but there's also a dot on there. And then the clothespins, on one side it's purple, and on the other side is the number 6. So you can find that purple has 6 dots on it. So they can either match up the color or they can find the number and they clip it. they clip it on. So it's just it's a good fine motor and color matching. And then I mentioned that we have felt sets. This is just one that we have. It's a fairy tale one that I had when I was little, that my mom had when my mom was a preschool teacher too before I was born. So this one is Cinderella, and so there's just like felt pieces, you know, like the old Sunday school felt boards. These are just smaller ones, and you can still get things like this. But again, you don't have to go out and buy things. It's nice to kind of start looking at what you already have and maybe setting some things aside and saying, this is a school activity and we're only going to do this during school time. And then that allows them, the pencil pouches, these are from Walmart. And I've picked these up at a couple different stores, and Walmart, their quality is the best of the different ones. I've taken them back to other stores before because the zippers get really flimsy, and they're just, either the clear plastic breaks away. Yes, yeah, just, well, and I have scissors in my daughter's pouch. She loves cutting, and all of a sudden she's cutting on the shapes. So I have those preschool workbooks that you can pick up at Costco or Walmart or wherever, and I'll just pull out a page and she'll just cut the shape. You know, it's one of those pages that you're supposed to circle all the triangles, and she just cuts all the shapes out. So, you know, if you can trust them enough to give them a pair of scissors sitting right next to you, you're sitting next to them, this is a school activity. Scissors are a great thing, because as soon as they figure out how to chomp, teaching preschool, we used, scissors were like an alligator, and they're going to chomp the paper. So you've got to open them up, open their mouth, and chomp down on the paper. And so once they start getting that motion, that's a really great hand-eye coordination that they need to do to master. So as soon as you can get them to start cutting, but we stress over and over and over, scissors are only for paper. We never cut hair, we never cut clothes. We only cut paper. So, you know, I understand that some children are rambunctious and they are full of energy and full of life, and we need to embrace that. Oh, I'm so glad. Yeah, because it's so easy when you've got older ones and you realize the importance of doing school and actually teaching them how to read, how to use addition. But these younger ones, they still need you, and they need you to teach them how to have these life skills. Waldorf is another great inspiration if you're looking for just some different ideas. Waldorf and Montessori both have more life skills. Okay, yeah, and it is. So preschool is, 4-year-olds are my favorite. I love when children are 4 because they're not really into the sassy age. No, I don't really do one-on-one with my toddler, but if I was going to introduce, say, the sensory bin, I would sit down with her before we started reading. If I was going to let her do the sensory bin, yes. Okay, so 4-year-olds are my favorite because they're not to the 5-year-old sassy age yet. And but 4-year-olds just soak up everything, and they learn so much in that year of life. So 4 is really my absolute favorite, but I taught preschool and pre-kindergarten for so long that it's just second nature for me to pull out these ideas and know how to help them. So 5th grade is not my strong point, so I'll be coming to you for inspiration. Okay, so I think, oh, this was one other thing that we have. This is just a little wooden guy, and he's got these little farm. I don't know the company. I cannot find it. I got this used. So yeah, so they're just like all these little farm animals. So, you know, go to garage sales and go to, you know, check on eBay and see if you can find any little things that might be exciting. If you check on Craigslist, sometimes teachers who are retiring will post that they're doing a teacher sale. I've gotten a lot of things that way. So yeah, if you can, or if you know of a preschool that's closing, you can get things from them. I've done that a couple times too. So yeah, so see if you've got any friends that want to do a busy bag swap with you and just get a couple ideas. And everybody, you can either all get together and make them the same night or just get together and swap them, but have fun with it. And I think, a couple other ideas, books. I noticed in all of my years of working with children love collections. So we keep all of our golden books together. We have some other series that we keep them all together. So I'll pull out that stack of books and they just like looking at one after the next. Puzzles are really great if you can, if you've got puzzles. What else do I have here? Okay, I think that was all that I wrote down. I was writing down a bunch of ideas yesterday, trying to think of what do I do? What might be a little bit different? Or just some different ideas that maybe you haven't thought about. So, yeah, so I'm so glad that you guys were able to join me. I'm going to be doing a game scope with my children on Thursday, and I think on Friday I'm going to do a little follow-up video of our daily group loop, just to kind of, I know I was having a lot of questions about how do we go from the daily part flowing over into the weekly and monthly. I'm so glad you all got inspiration today, because that's really what it is. What can you take from me? What can you take from those ideas on Pinterest, and what can inspire you to do something with your children that is going to work for you and for your children? So yeah, I think on Friday I'm going to do just a quick little explanation, a little bit more about how we do the group loop. It'll be a really short little video. And then Saturday I am doing a hop. Loops in my head now. I'm doing a homeschool scopes hop, talking about tips for first-time homeschoolers. And some of the stuff, I know what I'm going to be talking about, and I'm sure what some of the other ones are going to be talking about, is great refreshers. So keep your eyes out, and I will see you all later this week. And yeah, thank you so much for joining me today.